Most people say I've got A players. No, you've got B players because the A players are working for Elon and for Google and for real, right? The A players are working for the best companies.
Yeah.
We get all the B's and C's. And I realized that if you get 2 A players and pay them $200,000 each, or you have 6 C players or B players and pay them $100,000 a year each, your 2 A's will destroy your 6 C's or B's. But you have to hire really, really good people, not just pay more for your B's and C's. I think a lot of people just pay too much.
How you find those people and how you actually discern whether or not it's somebody that's just been overpaid forever.
Yeah.
Because the world is full
Exactly.
of executives that are hiding inside of a Fortune 500 company or Fortune 1000 company, been getting paid $300, $400, $1 million a year.
And they're shit.
And they're shit. So how do you prevent that happening? How do you find, executive from a massive company that could actually work in a small company? What do you ask them? How do you think about that?
I think it was the founder of Airbnb who said, you won't know it's an A player until you're sitting talking to them, and then you'll know what an A player really is. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, right?
That's like you won't know you're in love until you're in love.
Right. Yeah, I guess. And I think Elon even said something about the only true A players are the ones that I'm learning something from in the interview. Like when he's interviewing them and he's learning, he's like, that's an A.
Yeah, I've heard him say that. I've heard him talk about I've heard about his interviews actually from somebody that worked for him for a while. And he was like, it was weird. I didn't think we were in an interview initially. And we were just talking. And then it went on for like 3 hours. Wow. He was going down like crazy rabbit holes about, and Elon is so dynamic and knows so much about so much.
Yeah.
And so he was like, what I found out was that he would go down to the end of the chain of his depth of understanding. And if I knew more, that was the trigger that this was an interesting proposition.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I was actually talking to our internal recruiter today, and he was talking about a specific role, and we were talking about just sort of the dynamics of hiring, and somebody was missing a specific skill set. And I was like, no. If they had all of the skill sets, they'd be out doing their own shit. Or they would be working for Elon. Right? And what I said was, or they'd be making several million a year in a high-paid role or a high-profile role for one of the big companies. Yeah.
One other thing on hiring, and then I'll talk about my last book. I was speaking at an event in Dubai last year, came off the stage. I'm 6'4", and I'm talking to this guy who's taller. He's like 6'7". I'm like, what do you do for fun? He's like, I play volleyball. I'm like, do you still play? He goes, yeah, I play pro beach volleyball. I'm like, holy shit. I said, I played in college for a bit, and I played on my team in high school. I said, if I had 5 of my guys from high school, and he starts laughing, and he goes, we would beat the 6 of you every game, 2 on 6.
Oh, wow.
And I realized that if you get 2 A players and pay them $200,000 each, or you have 6 C players or B players and pay them $100,000 a year each, your 2 A's will destroy your 6 C's or B's.
All right. So,
but you have to hire really, really good people, not just pay more for your B's and C's.
Yeah. Well,
I think a lot of people just pay too much.
Fuck yeah.
Right.
Listen, there's 2 big problems with that. The first, there are 2 challenges with that. The first is how you find those people and how you actually discern whether or not it's somebody that's just been overpaid forever. Because the world is full of executives that are hiding inside of a Fortune 500 company or Fortune 1000 company, been getting paid, $300, $400, $1 million a year.
And they're shit.
And
by the way, culturally, if you're a big company or if you're an entrepreneurial company, like a 10 to 100 person company, don't ever hire a corporate person to come work for you. I made that mistake years ago. I hired this guy, Richard. He was going to be our director of marketing.
I make it every couple of years.
Dude, Richard came in. I was so enamored. He was the former VP of marketing for McDonald's Canada, former VP of marketing for Dairy Queen Canada. He was going to come and run our marketing team of 2.
Yep.
And he came in and on the first day, he goes, who fills out the FedEx slips?
Exactly.
I'm like, oh, fuck.
You got to go.
I totally mishired.
Yeah.
Culturally, they're the wrong person. Like skills are one thing, but culturally different.
I don't know. I think that's culture, but you're also talking about, maybe it is culture, maybe it's a value-based thing, but it's also just how close have you been to the ground recently?
Rolling up your sleeves and getting dirty. Like I hired another woman, Alison Twiner, who had run the Google Analytics team for Canada. And this was 2005. And she came in to work with us to run our digital marketing. Oh my God, unbelievable. But she was like this entrepreneurial, street smart athlete that and Google was still pretty small back in those days. Like it was 2005, it was big enough, but we'd only been using it for 5 years. Like it wasn't hundreds of thousands.
Well, let's address that then. So how do you prevent that happening? How do you find the executive from a massive company that could actually work in a small company? What do you ask them? How do you think about that?
Okay, so I did an interview 10 years ago for Dave Asprey. And during our year of coaching him, he asked me to interview a potential second in command. Her name was Anna. And Anna was the former head of Amazon Prime. And she was going to leave Amazon Prime to go work for Bulletproof Coffee. I'm like, oh, I'm nervous, man. Like this is like corporate, running a division, big division, and coming to an entrepreneurial company. And you're based in Nanaimo and she's in Seattle, like big disconnects.
Also, hold on though. Frame of reference for anybody that doesn't know this, but Amazon is notorious for having pods of entrepreneurship within the company.
And I didn't know that.
Got it. Okay.
So when I started doing the interview, what I was scratching for was, do you have the skills to do what he's hiring, right? Do you have the skills to lead people, to run these divisions? Have you worked in consumer packaged goods? Like, how are you going to work with an entrepreneurial leader? Like I was interviewing for behavioral traits and skill sets. But my worry was you're going to be too corporate. So I told her the story about Richard, who had worked for McDonald's and Dairy Queen. She goes, oh, you don't know what I did 2 roles before working at Amazon. I'm like, no. She goes, I ran my own marketing agency or business agency in the consumer packaged goods space, and I had 20 employees, and I did that for 9 years, and I was the entrepreneur. I'm like, oh, you're an entrepreneur. She goes, oh yeah, the only reason I'm even at Amazon is I'm like this entrepreneurial person to build something up. And the reason I'm leaving is it's gotten too big now. I'm like, oh, okay. So you've got the skills but I had to really scratch on that stuff.
Yeah.
I wasn't super enamored that she was from a big company.
Yeah.
I was more worried about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm inherently worried about it. And that's also, I'm not inherently. I have developed the concern over a lot of time and mistakes.
Well, here's another thing that happens. Most entrepreneurs have never had any training on how to do job interviews.
Of course. Well,
so they've interviewed 100 people.
Yes.
And maybe they've read a book. Maybe they read Who. Maybe they read chapter 2 of my book, Double Double. But they've never done role plays. They've never practiced. No one's ever videoed them doing an interview. They've never watched themselves. They've never done self-critiques. They've never practiced doing an interview. Like they've never talked about their interviewing style. They've never studied open and close questions and probing. Like they don't know how to rate a resume. I've had at least 100 hours of training on doing job interviews. So when people make mistakes, it's often because they don't have the skill to do it.
Got it. Okay. Well, I like that. So what I was going to say is that I have lots of reason to be concerned from my history of trying to hire these people. I think the idea of, you said behavior and values questions.
Yeah.
And I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Stumbling upon the reality that somebody's been an entrepreneur is also helpful, although it's also very common to find people. And now you got this, diamond in the rough that was like, oh, I only got into it because of this and I'm leaving because it's too corporate. But that doesn't
It's very rare. It's very rare.
It's tremendously uncommon.
Yeah.
What normally happens is people tell you a story about how they ran some shit, but then you have a concern that they escaped to corporate America or they elevated to corporate America and now they don't want to go back, right? Because they're like, oh yeah, I can tell you that I can go back. But really, I think it's like most things in life where you sort of get lifestyle creep.
Yeah, they're out of water too. They're out of their element.
Well, that too. You get acclimated to a new way of doing things, and then you're like, I just tell somebody else to do that.
Yeah.
Like it's done.
You know where else a lot of companies make mistakes on hiring, and it's around understanding how to interview for skill set. So,
well, talk to me about those hours.
Let me give you an example for a sec.
Yeah, no, that's what I want. I want to drill into that specific example, but I also want, like you talked about, training and role playing for the interview.
Okay.
And that's tremendously uncommon in the entrepreneurial upbringing. It's something that you hit it on the head, which is maybe they read a book, and people usually read a book and get a framework and they're like, this is how I'm supposed to do this. This is great. And it is usually Who.
Yeah, it is. Well, or top grading, which is 800 pages, 795 pages, and it's just too overwhelming, right?
Yep.
It's like you can do your thesis, your MBA thesis on that, or PhD thesis. So do you know how to win an Olympic medal?
No.
Yes, you do.
Just do a bunch of
shit. Be faster, be stronger, right? So you know how, right? Yeah. Do you know how to set a world record? Yes. Right? You could tell everybody how...
Leading the witness.
No, but okay, but I have to, because if you said yes, then we would. So the leading the witness is you know how to do it.
Yes.
Do you know how to manage people? Yes. Do you know how to delegate to people? Yes. Have you done it before? No, I've never won a world record. No, I've never won a gold medal. So would you rather hire a swimmer who knows how to win an Olympic medal or hire a swimmer who won an Olympic medal?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I remember having drinks one day with a guy named Alex Bauman who'd won 5 gold medals at the LA Olympics.
Yeah.
Clearly better as a swimmer than me. I know how to do all 4 strokes, but I would drown in a race.
Yeah.
In the interviewing, a lot of people get enamored with people knowing how to do something, but they don't really scratch into, did they do it? Right? Or they'll show on the resume, I grew revenue by 23%. Really? Or did the whole company do it? What exactly did you do?
That's like the most common mistake ever.
So let me show you where it went sideways. At 1-800-GOT-JUNK, the call center at this point was not reporting to me yet. It did about 6 months after this incident. We hired a guy from Business Objects, a big, strong tech company who used to run the sales divisions at Business Objects. We brought him in to run our call center sales division. And he needed to hire 30 people to start May 1st, and he was way behind. And I talked to the CEO and I said, do you want me to go talk to him? Like, something's off. He's not going to hit this goal. We're fucked if he doesn't get there. He goes, please, can you go in there and chat with him? So I started talking to him and I said, when you were at Business Objects and you needed 5 more, 10 more people, what did you do? Like, how did your recruiting of people and your interviewing of people go? He goes, well, I didn't have to do that. I'm like, no, but you managed the whole sales team. If you had to recruit them and interview them, how did you do it? He goes, I didn't. He goes, I would phone HR and say, I need 10 more salespeople, and they'd be sitting at my desk on Monday. I'm like, so you have no, he goes, I don't know how to interview. I don't know how to hire.
Oh my God.
And we had this VP of a call center, a 100-person business area, who had never done it before because we assumed that because he'd managed people, he knew how to interview and hire them.
Yep.
Right? That's where we often go sideways.
Yeah.
So it's starting is, what are you looking for?
Yep.
How do you find it? And then can you practice the skills of actually knowing how to find that stuff?
Okay, so I think about this in terms of a number of different skill sets. And I've talked about this before, and we might have talked about this before in a previous episode, but I think about sourcing, screening, interviewing, and onboarding.
Correct.
Right? And that's sort of my framework.
The offer is actually a part of that too. People they screw up the offer. So I'll back up and give my experience so people know where it came from. So there used to be a company called College Pro Painters. College Pro became the largest residential house painting company on the planet.
Yeah.
And every year we'd have to go out and recruit, hire, and train 800 university students to be franchisees.
Yes. And you had Elon Musk's brother as part of one of your employees.
But then in 6 weeks, those 800 franchisees had to hire 8,000 students to paint houses.
Yeah, I should have teed this up for you. We have talked about this before. But
so our business had to become operationally world-class at the recruiting, interviewing, hiring, and onboarding of people, right? So we got so much training around. We got almost no training on how to paint a house. Because that didn't matter as much as having 8,800 people with the ability to do something at a basic level.
Well,
but we were really fucking good at the interview.
Okay, well let me say a couple things there. So a huge takeaway for anybody listening now that doesn't give a fuck about hiring is, and there are tons of entrepreneurs that are like, yeah, tell me how to generate revenue that are listening. Here's, I think, the biggest takeaway of what you just said is they didn't bother to teach you how to paint a house. They taught you how to recruit, which is smart as fuck.
Because if you had the right people, they'd figure out how to paint a house.
Well, I think, or because what actually generates revenue for that company is recruiting.
Right,
is recruiting. And so I think one of the things that is, and this is fresh for me mentally, but one of the things that you need to stop, pause, and think about inside the scope of your own company consistently is, am I actually investing in time and optimizing the things that are moving the needle on the company?
Correct.
Or focusing on the things that make the company look pretty, make me look pretty,
AI.
or vanity metric. Yeah, right.
If you get all the right AI tools and the wrong people, you're screwed. So let's go through the life cycle of the employee then. So if you're recruiting people, if you want to find a bunch of people, how do you find them? Well, first off, your business has to look like a good cultural beacon to attract good people.
Ideally, it also is a cultural beacon to attract people.
But like an A player or a B player aren't going to go work for an average company.
Right.
An A player or a B player aren't going to go work for a company filled with shitty people. So one by one, you got to get rid of your bad people to attract the good people. Your job postings have to be like a marketing letter, a sales letter. And a sales letter has to attract people like a magnet, and it has to push some people away. If it's flat, if it reads like a government document, if it's boring, you're not going to attract the good people in. A players want to be challenged right at the interview process. So I start them off by going, this is going to be the hardest job you've ever fucking had. It's going to challenge you like no tomorrow. If you don't live these core values, don't apply, because you're going to get fired if you break these core values. So I'm not going to sell them on how wonderful we are.
Yep.
I'm going to sell them on how challenging we're going to be. And an A player is like, oh my God, I want in, right? I put the salary and the comp right at the top. Like I tell them right away how much it is. I don't want a $250,000 person applying for an $80,000 job. And I don't want an $80,000 person applying for a $200,000 job. But that's the recruiting part starts in there. I cast a very wide net. I push that job posting out through search firms on social media. I pay all my current employees a strong bonus to share it with their network so they get a huge bonus for recruiting the right candidates. So that's kind of the recruiting part, okay? Then you got all these candidates and they all come into the company.
Well, sort of. So we've got Hormozy would be proud because you're starting with the offer.
He's a former client of mine 10 years ago.
Yep. Like him. Good dude. Starting with the offer, which is the job post, which also fits into the screening process.
It's the top of your funnel.
Which is where you're going, right? Yeah. So you're actually creating some friction on the front end so that while you source, it funnels through and you restrict some of that already. So you're already into screening.
So I only want the people applying who actually really want to be a part of something, okay? Or there's at least some of the bad people aren't even applying. So yeah, so they were top of funnel. So then what most companies do is they read every resume that comes in. I don't want to read every resume. I don't even know if you're that serious yet.
Yeah.
Most people are just fucking clicking a button and I'm getting applications.
Yep.
So what I do is I kick back an auto reply, and I've done this for 25 years. The auto reply comes back and goes, thanks for your resume. I'm not going to read it yet. Please read this 5-page description, our vivid vision of what our company looks like, acts like, and feels like in the future. And read this recent article of us in the media, or watch this podcast of me being interviewed, and reply and send me a 3-minute video of why you want to work here and how you can help us make our vivid vision come true. If I like your video, I'll read your resume and we'll bring you in for a group interview. So I don't look at a single resume. When I get the videos, I look at them and you can tell very quickly in the video if the person's the right cultural fit or not.
I'm going to tie this back to the second question that I have about mishiring really valuable people. The question is related to this, and I'll get there. The question is, do you do that for every role?
Yes.
Even the ones that are $250,000, $300,000 a year.
1-800-GOT-JUNK, we did this exact process for our head of HR, head of people, very senior director of people role. Helen Sheridan was this woman's name. And Helen came back and goes, I'm not sending you a video and I'm not coming for a group interview. And I replied, we'll miss you. And she replied going, what do you mean you'll miss me? I'm amazing for this role. I'm like, you said you're not going to send a video and come for the group interview. We can't interview you. She goes, fuck it, I'll send it in. So she sends it in. We loved her video. She comes for a group interview where we're interviewing 5 candidates at the same time. She goes, this is so unusual, but I'm doing it because I really want to work here and I know I can scale 1-800-GOT-JUNK. She walks into the group interview wearing a blue wig, a clown wig, which was one of our marketing things. And I'm like, I love her. She walked into the group interview and she pulled me aside and she goes, even if I don't get this job, this has forever changed my role of recruiting people. And she was the former head of HR for a 1,300 person company that was a cultural magnet in Vancouver. We hired her. We did the same thing for our head of finance people. So the only thing you have to be careful of is you're hiring people and you're recruiting them away from public companies. There's risks to their roles. So you have to be a little bit careful around that.
Yeah. How does that,
but most entrepreneurial companies aren't hiring former public people.
Well, how does that intersect with an actual recruiting process, right? So look, if you have job posts out, if you get people referred in, okay, they all started that funnel.
Yeah.
But if you have a recruiter that's going out to do that,
they come through my funnel too.
But
even if you're using an executive search,
right? But after they've picked up the phone and had a conversation with the recruiter, yeah,
that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't care what happens on that end. If I'm using executive recruiters,
so it's not necessarily the first point of contact for a higher end person.
No, I just want to know before I waste time looking at your resume or reading all the notes from the search firm. I want to see a video of you. I had a guy one time apply
with you on that,
and he sent a video and he goes, sorry about the laundry behind me. It's kind of COVID time. Dude, you can still take the laundry off the counter, you idiot. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay if your kid walks through, but the dirty laundry means you don't care about details.
Yeah.
I need a detail-oriented person.
Yep.
So that's the second stage of the funnel. Then the stage is I do a group interview, either over Zoom or in person. I have 5 or 6 candidates come in at the same time for a 1-hour interview, and all I'm looking for is who's sparkling, whose eyes are vibrating, who's excited about the role, who do I like spending time with. I'm looking for the cultural fits in the company, not entirely about skill set yet. If they go through the group interview and I'm like, I really like you, there's something here, I don't entirely know what it is yet, but I want to know more, then we give them a project. And the project is paid. It's paid at the normal comp that they're going to do, and it's about an 8-hour project. So I'll be like, hey, I'm going to pay you. I might pay you $500. Normally the output that I'm getting for the project, I can still use inside of the company, but it's a good test for me to see if they can get the work done. And it's a very specific project that I need you to do. It could be review my website and come back with 10 areas that we can improve it. It could be do a market research study. It could be, whatever, right? That hoop is only going to show you who the candidates are. And because you're paying them, if they have a problem with it, you don't want them anyway. Like if somebody's going to start arguing with me before they have the job, they're going to certainly argue when they're working for me.
Yeah.
So they go through the test. If you like the test, you like the video, you like the group interview, then I bring them in and I follow the really strong SIDS interview from Top Grading and from Who, where I really go through every little thing in their website or everything in their resume.
Say SIDS interview?
Yeah, it's a style of interview.
Got it.
So I go through a very in-depth interview about every stage of their resume, and I'm looking for skills. I already know they're a cultural fit. I already know that I like them, but I'm going to interview like crazy. At the start of the interview, I'll say, oh, by the way, I know you'll probably have some questions. We can answer those at the end of the interview, because right now I need to know if you're the right fit. And then I will grill the crap out of them for at least an hour, and I will challenge them. And 95% of the time, I have them talking. If I'm talking, it's not an interview, it's a sales pitch.
Yeah.
And if I'm selling them, they're running away, right? So it's like playing hard to get a little bit. I'm going to grill them until they want it. And then sometimes I'll reverse the sell and I'll get them to start selling me a little bit. At the very end, I'll answer their questions, right? And then you go from there into they call it the, not top grading, but TORC, the threat of reference check. So I use the TORC process and then we go into a final interview. So that's the interview process. And we show people like, how do you know what behavioral traits to look for? How do you define a behavioral trait? We were interviewing franchisees, and one of the 5 behavioral traits we were looking for was tenacity. So we described tenacity as the dog-like work ethic to get over, under, or around any obstacle put in one's path. You're a 5 out of 5 on tenacity. You're like a 12 out of 5 on tenacity, right? You're a very tenacious, never give up, grind it out, figure it out, find a way kind of person. So we're interviewing this franchisee, and I knew that he was a 1 out of 5. He was a sloth. He just wasn't that hard of a worker and wouldn't grind it out. One of the other VPs rated him a 5 out of 5 on tenacity.
Did you fire him?
No, but yeah. But I was like, hang on. So on the debrief, you have to have 2 people interviewing, and then you meet and talk about your numbers to make sure that you're on the same page and I didn't miss something. I'm like, I gave him a 1, you gave him a 5. What did you see that I missed? He goes, oh, he's a hard worker. He's a bricklayer. I'm like, no. Tenacity does not say you're a hard worker. It doesn't say you have a hard job. And I went back to the definition. I said, what do you find that supports that definition? He goes, yeah, not much. I'm like, because he's not a grinded out kind of person. He's quit every job. He quit in school. He hated his coaches. He told his coaches to fuck off. He ended up with a hard job because he was lazy at everything he ever did. He was a quitter who ended up on a construction site.
Yeah, there's also a difference between somebody that will do a difficult thing and somebody that will excel in anything. And Correct. There are people that will do a difficult thing, but do the minimum because that's what they have to do to keep their job.
Yep. I don't want somebody who's excelled at everything and never had to work hard because they've never experienced failure. They've never had to grind it out.
Yeah, I want some of those. Some of those people are, there's some people that have innate skill, so everything has come easy.
Which is fine.
Yeah, then there's chip on the shoulder and I have to do well with it.
Yeah. But that's the key part is let's train our people on this stuff.
Yeah.
Like I remember this is going back to 1993. I was interviewing someone.
Damn, you're old.
I'm really old. I talked to someone today. I've been running my own business. I started at 20 and I just turned 60. So 40 years ago, I had 12 employees.
That's so crazy.
Cray.
It's crazy that you can say every 5-year increment in life when you can be like 25 years, 30 years, every 5-year increment is a new realization of how old you are. You're like,
I know.
Whoa.
It's really crazy.
Yeah, there's sometimes I actually don't. Do you have the sensation of I'm old, or do you have the sensation of like, how do you internalize that? Because I internalize it most of the time almost all the time as like a privilege to have been able to go through enough things and have that context and experience.
Yeah, I have.
And I think that was a deliberate wiring. I don't think it didn't happen by accident that I look at things that way.
I feel I have the wisdom of some time now that a lot of younger entrepreneurs maybe don't have yet because they just haven't been doing it long enough.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm smarter at all. There's people that are 30 years younger than me that are mind-blowingly smarter. But I have some wisdom of having been around it longer and hiring people and managing.
Smart's a weird word, man.
Yeah, it's wisdom versus smarts. How do I think about age? When I was about 45, I remember looking in the mirror and going, "Oh, you're older." And that was the first dawning that I wasn't young anymore. And then I became very cognizant at around the same age when I was with Kim. So about the same age, 15 years ago, I was now married to someone younger than me. And I was like, I can't get old. And she joked with me one day that I'd made an old man noise. I kind of stood up grunting and she's like, you can't make old man noises. And that was a coming of age for me, that I was going to stay young. I was going to act young. I was going to...
Is that when you got rid of her and got a younger wife?
No. That was,
that was later?
That was 8 years after that. Yeah. Yeah, you're only as old as the woman you feel. There's a marketing quote for you.
That's great. Yeah. That's going to be our headlining clip.
Snippet headline, right? Cameron Herold said. So how do I think about age? I'm at another stage now where I'm very cognizant now that I no longer am running a business for I'm not getting anything more out of running a company anymore, which is a strange feeling.
What do you mean by that?
You only start a company for one of three reasons: to have a feeling of accomplishment, pride, like, look at me, I am smart teacher, I am smart mom and dad, I have done it, I did this, a feeling of accomplishment, or to give us free time so that we can enjoy our hobbies and our life and do stuff, or to have enough money. I've hit this economic escape velocity. I've got enough money. I live in a tax-free zone. I don't need that much more. Yeah, if I want to fly private, sure, but I've got
that
lots
is the jump. Isn't that annoying?
I know, but I don't care I really don't care. Like, I fly business class everywhere. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy nice watches because I like them. Like, it doesn't. So, and then free time. I took 13 weeks vacation last year, so I've got lots of free time. The feeling of accomplishment. I've been running my own business since I was 20. So it's like, what am I doing this for now? And so I'm really starting to check in around when.
Well, there's the fourth too.
What's that?
Which is that you don't know what else to do.
Yeah, but I do know what else to do. So this is what I'm checking in on right now.
I say it in jest, but realistically, it is something to address for tons of entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Like, you condition yourself to be working all the time, and then you have to unlearn that,
so
and learn how to go play
retirement
again or do whatever else.
I'm considering retirement. I'm considering being done. I'm considering having someone buy the COO Alliance and continue it. It's the first time I've ever said it publicly. And it's not like it's imminent, but so I'm checking in with myself going, do I have enough hobbies to keep myself busy? I talked to somebody a couple of years ago and he said, I tried retirement and I had to go back to work after like a year. I'm like, well, what were you doing? He goes, I got tired of it. I couldn't golf all the time. I'm like, so what other hobbies do you have? He goes, nothing.
Right.
That's the fucking problem. The problem isn't the retirement's bad. The problem is that the only thing you have is one thing. But I like golf. I want to play padel. I want to play pickleball. I want to play tennis more. I want to hike more. I want to go skiing more.
Let me argue
I want to go travel. I got bucket list activities. I want to read. I want to learn how to play guitar. I want to do sex courses. Like,
look, if you want to do all that, I love the last one, and we can talk about that. But if you want to do all that, great. But I would. There is an argument to be made that business is a game, and so if you can let yourself out of this idea that the business has to grow and has to expand and has to be better. And I have to do the three things that you mentioned, which were the things that you get out of a business. Yeah. If instead you reframe that and say, in retirement, I want to participate in business because my hobby that I'm doing, if I can also simultaneously monetize it,
I would still do some. I would still.
It's a fun game.
I would still speak. I would still coach some people a bit.
But you will like all that stuff. Most people are terrified by that shit.
Yeah, I like that stuff. So, but here, I had two very good role models I had three actually. My one grandfather was the CEO of a big pharmaceutical company.
Oh, right. You're an entrepreneur family.
And he died at 52. So it didn't matter. He was dead. My second grandfather built his own business and sold it and retired at 52 and lived until he was 96. Man, did he have hobbies and friends. He was always doing stuff and he was always happy. And then my dad retired at 60 and died at 80. But had all kinds of hobbies and passions and fun and hung out. So I saw them do stuff. And yes, I grew up in an entrepreneurial family.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I don't think running a company is my hobby. I think my hobbies are my hobbies. Well, I like what I do.
Love it.
But I really like my hobbies too.
I love it. But you also just told me, so the way that was framed was very binary. It was like, well, I'm working while I'm working, and then I'm retired and I get to do my hobbies. But you also simultaneously, in almost the same breath, said, I take 13 weeks off every year. Yep. And and you've been nomadic for 4 years or something.
I'd like to get like 40 weeks off.
Well, okay. But I'd say that
you're not 60 yet.
No.
How old are you now?
45.
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you something. You asked about age and how do I see it? something changed.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to argue that point.
Something changed. I was in Nepal at the start of my 60th birthday in November. I was hiking in the Himalayas, loving it. And something, it was like a light switch went on. And I was like, I think I'm there. And I can't explain it.
Fucking woo-woo bullshit. Look, what I'm saying is that everybody's got their own journey. You can look at it different ways. You can condition it for yourself, or life conditions you.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you've gone down this path where you saw these people that worked, and then got time to just explore their hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
And you have in your head that you want 40 weeks to do it. And then you've got, I have deliberately throughout my life said I want integration versus balance.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah,
Or alignment versus balance. Yeah. Right. And, I'm not, at the same time, it is not a clear path. It is a journey. It is a challenge to do that. And I have to recalibrate all the time to do it and make sure I'm not going too deep in one end or the other, because I have an addictive personality and when I do something, I want to fucking do it.
I think seeing my dad die 3 years ago probably hit me pretty good too.
That makes sense.
Right. And I think I'm becoming very, very aware of we're only here for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
I want to spend time with my kids.
Yeah. Oh, you have those.
Yeah. I've got 2 kids, 25 and 23.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just something's different. And I can't explain it.
Yeah. Well, I can see that. I just, the exclamation point that I want to put on this is only that you get to pick how you want to live your fucking life.
Do you know what my worry is? My worry is that if I wasn't running the business, would I still be accepted with my friends? Mm-hmm. Will my friends accept me as me, or do they only accept me because I'm running a business? Because all my friends are entrepreneurs.
Yeah, man.
Like, will you still like me?
Yep.
I
think that's, I think identity's a real thing. And I think that's also part of why I think it's part of, it isn't why I started doing it, but after I started doing it, when I started doing significant adventures and endurance athletics, et cetera, I saw how the entrepreneurial community, but also other people around me perceived that. And that created a different identity.
Yeah.
Right. And so leaning into this idea of integration, alignment, et cetera, leaning into that created a different persona that connected with different people for different reasons.
Yeah.
And it really, I think, fanned the flames of making sure that I did cool shit throughout the journey. And I made a point of saying every year, a couple times a year, I was going to make sure I did cool shit, because it is what creates the story.
Maybe that's what I got to do, is hire a second in command to run my COO Alliance, so I can just have my 40 weeks vacation. I have somebody else scale it for me.
You can come in and speak.
Maybe I'm getting there.
Come in and speak.
Yeah.
We already do cool shit.
I know. It's fun.
We've done a bunch of cool shit.
It's fun.
In fact, we've been doing cool shit long enough that the first interview that we did, you were interview 14 on this podcast.
Okay. How many?
And we were 250. And you were also interview 100.
Wow.
Oddly. And we were drinking wine back when you had alcohol.
Yeah.
In Santiago.
Chile.
In a wine room for interview number 14. So people go look it up. You'll probably hear a bunch of the same shit on hiring. Probably not, actually.
Wow, that was a long time ago.
Crazy. Yeah, crazy. We had left Antarctica and went to go stomp around Patagonia for a couple weeks almost.
That was where the pool table was. We played pool that night too.
Played pool and cracked open a bottle of wine in a wine room of the W in Santiago.
Yep. Wow. Oh, that's right. Yeah. I remember that. Upstairs.
Rooftop in the W.
Yeah,
it was dope.
Super cool. We went for a great Michelin star dinner one time too. Here's an example of tenacity, by the way. It's a 4-hour dinner. It's like 9 courses. And we're like, hey, we got 2 hours. Can we come for dinner? They're like, no, it's a 4-hour. We're like, we'll tell you what, Brad pays him $50.
We also just showed up.
Oh, did we just show up?
Oh, we just showed up to a 3 Michelin star place. There was no reservation. We just walked in.
And they let us in.
Yep, they did. We were like, we don't have time. They were like, 4-hour dinner. We were like, we've got 2 and then the airport.
Yeah. Give me the food. Take a picture. Give me the next dish.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, we failed on all accounts to address failures. Which is how I started this conversation. So we're going to do that. So why don't you tell me about a failure that you feel like you had as a person, but not as a businessman, and how that formed decisions in business?
The big one that comes to me first is 25 years ago is when it fell apart. And I was running a business We had 900 employees, and one of my VPs tapped me on the shoulder to say, "Are you okay?" And I turned around and collapsed on the floor of the elevator and started sobbing. And I was having a nervous breakdown. I weighed 40 pounds heavier than I do today. I was smoking. I was starting every meal 4 days a week with 2 Manhattans and red wine and Grand Marnier at the end. I was smoking. I was a complete workaholic. I had no hobbies whatsoever. It was just business.
Is that when you realized you were gay, when you were drinking the Grand Marnier at the end?
No, it was
It was before that?
Yeah, it was before that. I used to like Grand Marnier.
Case in point.
I was sucking on the cigarettes. Very kind of Freudian. God, you're bizarre. So, yeah, that was that. That was a period where I then, went to a doctor and found out that I was clinically redlining and had this metallic taste at the back of my neck.
What does that mean, clinically redlining?
So I had this weird taste at the back of my neck. The only way I could describe it was like a metallic taste, like I was chewing on aluminum foil or tin foil. And my neck and shoulders were always tight, like always super, super knotted and tight. And the doctor asked me what was going on. I'm like, no, not much. I was at the doctor to get a physical because we were getting a mortgage for our house and I needed to get insurance. So I wasn't there because of the nervous breakdown I had 2 weeks before. Just ignored that and had more to drink.
Yes.
So he goes, what's going on? I go, not much. My mom's got cancer. I just got married 3 months ago. I realized I'm not in love and I'm not sure how to get through this. My wife just told me she's pregnant. The company that we were selling for $64 million is almost bankrupt because the stock market crashed by 78% and we couldn't get out in time. So we're only at 3 million instead of 64.
Oh, this is before when Andrew got jumped.
Yeah. This is running ubarter.com in Seattle.
Yep.
And I've just quit my job as the head of corporate development. I'm moving back to Canada and we just bought a house. So that's kind of cool. And so he's like, what do you mean? Like all of this right now? I'm like, yeah, but it's fine. I'm fine. So he gave me this test and you fill out the test. And if you get 150 points on the test, you have a 50% chance of a heart attack. If you have 250 points on the test, you get a 95% chance of a heart attack. I had 435 points.
It's a lot of points.
So I was clinically redlining. And what was happening was there was a chemical secretion being caused by stress in the back of my neck that I was physically tasting. And it's almost like an animal can just tell something's up. It was the animal in me telling me slow down. And I was ignoring it because I was just working harder.
I get it.
And so that was probably my first big failure was, crying in an elevator at 35 years old, thinking I was completely fine.
Okay. So there are probably millions of entrepreneurs out there that are stressed, that are grinding, that feel pressure. And for a lot of them, it's probably fucking good because it drives them and makes them go. So where's the line? And how do you decide when you are not using it and it's not productive and it's not helping you, or when you need to keep going?
I think there's a bit of all of it, right? One is to have some integration, have some hobbies, have some passions, spend time with your kids and yourself and your friends, like stay balanced, have some aspect of that in your life because this is only what we're doing to make money. We are going to die. So you got to enjoy some of the journey a little bit. Another one is there's a Latin saying, mens sano and corpore sano, which means a healthy mind and a healthy body. And I think there's something there. You're currently fit. You're always been fit. Staying balanced with that, right? Eating healthier, having a drink, but not having 12, right? Smoke a joint, but not 7. Go to yoga, but not every day of the week. I think somehow people sometimes get off balance with like, go to the gym, but not 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. But stay in shape, eat healthier, but as Tim Ferriss would say, but have the chocolate cake on Saturday. But I was having the chocolate cake every day, smoking every day, drinking heavily every day, and having no hobbies so it wasn't that I was working hard because I had to, it was working hard because it was the only thing I was feeling good about in life. I was in a marriage I wasn't happy with. I didn't have any hobbies or friends. I was working because it was the only thing that gave me a good boost. So I've done some work around that and some childhood trauma stuff, and I've always been that way since I was a little kid.
Yeah, man. I have a fairly firm belief that what you focus on is what pulls your attention, right? And I don't think that's anything groundbreaking. But what I think people fail to recognize is that very often you have to condition yourself to focus on the thing consistently. And so, and this is where I go off the rails or on the rails, depending. But if I want to get in, ultra marathon shape, in order to get my head in that space, I need to be doing it every day and thinking about it every day. I need to be focusing on it every day. Now, after some period of time, my head gets there, right? But I need to lead my belief. Before I can get to belief, I need to establish some routine and focus. And sometimes it's a little maniacal to get myself to the point of belief to drive.
I could have eaten healthier 6 or 7 days of the week. Not obsessively healthy, but not burgers and fries constantly.
Sure.
Right? Not steak and red wine all the time. I could have gone I couldn't run around the block.
Yeah.
Dude, I was 220 pounds.
Yeah,
I'm
fatty.
182 now.
Yeah.
So I just wasn't healthy.
Dude, when I met you,
but
you
I
were
also
much bigger.
I also wasn't happy. Like
Yeah.
I really, really wasn't happy.
Yeah, what I'm getting at is just that I think that for a lot of people, it's, I shouldn't say that. I know for me, moderation is more difficult than abstinence.
Yeah, and I'm not even saying more moderation. I'm just saying be mindful. I needed to be more mindful of all the other aspects of life. There was no integration. It was all work, and that was it.
Why'd you stop drinking?
I had a problem with it. I was drinking every day. I was drinking a full bottle of red wine every day by myself. During COVID, it really showed me that I was just grabbing the next bottle and just drinking it.
I know we had a Cinco de Mayo over Zoom on COVID. It was great.
That was great.
And I sent everybody little tiny bottles.
Yeah, you sent everybody a half bottle, but me the whole bottle, the big one.
I sent everybody little bottles of Clase Azul, but and they were like half a fifth. Yeah. And in Canada, what the liquor stores are annoying, and all they had was like a liter. Yeah. So you got a liter of Clase Azul, and everybody else had a tiny bottle.
I drank almost all of it because they were almost, you're like, okay, we're almost done the bottle, and I had to catch up. I like drinking.
Yeah.
But the problem was I was drinking just because it was there. I would tell my kids to stop the movie so I could go get another glass of wine, but then I wasn't working out and I was tired and I was doing it for the wrong reasons. And it was never a sip more than a bottle, but it was a full bottle of red wine every single day for 7 years.
It's a long time and a lot of wine.
Do you know that when I was right before I finally quit, I pulled a bottle of white wine out of the fridge because we were selling everything and getting ready to travel. And I pulled a bottle of white wine out of the fridge, and I hate white wine, but I always had one there in case someone showed up at the house.
Yep.
And I pulled out the bottle and I opened it up, and my self-talk was, Cameron, you don't have a problem with drinking. You can even drink white wine. If you had a problem, you'd only be able to drink red. That's what I was telling myself.
Strange logic, bro.
It was bad.
Well, before we shift gears to go hit the sauna.
Oh, and then I also poured wine into a coffee cup one day so that I could drink it on a coaching call with somebody and pretend that I was drinking coffee. That's a problem.
I understand. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that in the journey of entrepreneurship, we didn't talk about sort of any of the loneliness considerations of entrepreneurship and what that journey looks like. But I think the more successful you get, the tougher it is to find people that understand, and the easier it is to rationalize any behavior you want.
Yeah.
Because nobody gets it anyway. So who's to say that my rules aren't the right rules?
I want to speak to the loneliness for a second.
Yeah.
I have not seen a single entrepreneur yet, not one, who when they're struggling, like in the moment of an employee stealing or almost going bankrupt or not meeting payroll or scared about growth or whatever, stress with all the people, whatever the stress is that you're going through in the moment, I've never seen a single entrepreneur yet who will talk about it that day on social media. They'll talk about it 3 months later when it's solved, or 2 years later when it's done, or almost.
Do you think they should?
No. But my point is that we're making entrepreneurship too trendy, and we're all talking about, here I am on the beach in Maui, here I am in Santiago, here I am in Antarctica having fun, but we don't talk about the downside. So too many people think entrepreneurship is easy. It's really fucking difficult.
Yeah.
And entrepreneurs that have an outlet like a mastermind.
Out.
Yeah. but we will talk about it a lot later, but it's a lot tougher. The journey is a lot harder than we let people know.
Yeah.
If we tell everybody how scared we are, then we're going to lose our employees, or we'll lose our suppliers, or lose our customers. So we don't talk about it until it's solved.
I mean, okay. But the other side of that is that you're going to normalize whatever situation you're around long enough. And so, you walked into my office and you immediately wanted to go deep with what was wrong with me right now. And I was like, pump the fucking brakes, dude. There's just a whole bunch of shit going on. And there's always good stuff and there's always fucked up stuff. Yeah. And and I say this often, but the line for me is like, people are like, oh, how's it going? And what happens in my head is, shut the fuck up. Like, what do you mean? What, like, you want me to talk about, you want to spend the next 7 hours talking about the 12 crazy things that are going on right now?
But I think for entrepreneurs, they need to have an outlet for that, whether it's a coach or a mastermind community, because their spouse is strapped to their back and they're driving their spouse crazy. Their kids are dealing with their bipolar stress. And the entrepreneur, if they are, kids often will think their entrepreneurial parent is crazy. Because one day they think they're going to take over the world, and the next day they have to fire somebody, and they're coming up to the kids, and the kid's like, I didn't fucking do anything wrong. But so we need to have some outlet, and that's why physical fitness is good. That's why health is good. That's why a mentor and a coach is good. Being in a mastermind community is good.
Okay.
Entrepreneurs that don't have that will implode.
Okay. I don't know. I just have a hard time I think it plays better in most marketing to have definitive takes on things, but everybody's fucking different. And now I wouldn't argue with the general idea that people need an outlet of some sort. And you kind of broadly defined it, which I like, which is exercise or community or whatever.
Well, and you spend time with your boyfriend, so you got that.
I was waiting for that to come back. I was waiting for it to come back. Finally, we can make gay jokes again. Right? Jesus.
Thank God. Thank you, Elon, for buying X.
Yeah, exactly. You've written what, fucking 7 books now?
Yeah.
So you've written 7 books. How do you think about like how you market yourself and position yourself in a book versus how you communicate with your group, which fundamentally is kind of the same. It's still you and your brand.
Yeah.
But one is the marketing tool and content and whatever else, and then the other is the group.
Yeah, so that changed over the years. So my first book I wrote, I used a group out of Austin called Greenleaf Books. So I worked with Clint Greenleaf, I think you know. And my first book was just there to elevate my brand as a speaker. I had kind of just started on my journey post 1-800-GOT-JUNK. It was around 2011. And so my first book was really just to give me a platform to say, hey, I'm important, pay me more. But there was no marketing. It didn't lead into anything else. There was nothing to sell. And then the next few books after that, Meeting Suck, Free PR, Vivid Vision, were the same. It was just, I need to go deeper on some content. Here's more content. So I was really trying to help. My core purpose has always been to help entrepreneurs make their vision come true. So I was always trying to help them. Again, it didn't sell anything. And then I did the Miracle Morning for Entrepreneurs with Hal Elrod, another guy from here. Didn't try to sell anything. And then finally with my 6th, with the book, The Second in Command, I'm like, I need to actually use this book as a marketing tool to drive the COO Alliance. So it's a community for the second in command. So the whole way through the book, I was very cognizant of, I want to help everybody, but I want them to know that by the time they get to the end of the book, every company should put their second in command into the COO Alliance. So then
if they're a big enough size.
If they're big enough size, yeah, they have to be at least 5 million in revenue to attend. So then like in the book, I put an entire chapter in about the value of growing your COO skills and putting them into a mastermind. And it was unabashedly talking about the COO Alliance in there as well. And then I even had quotes from Second in Command podcast guests, and I had quotes from COO Alliance members. So the entire book, it was like persuasion.
Yeah.
It was like definitely seeding the idea. And that's proven out to be really, really strong. So
do you regret not doing that with your first 5?
Fucking huge. I just didn't know, right? I was very naive.
Which is hilarious because we've both been a part of groups with authors for 15 years.
Yeah, and
like we're both friends with Tucker Max, who's done this.
He did 3 of my books. Tucker did 3. He did.
He still didn't push the envelope.
He didn't explain it to me, and I didn't ask. And he
doesn't care.
He doesn't care. He's fucking killing animals and I don't know, raising sheep or something on his own.
He is, yeah.
So then what happened with the book was, I then was like, I want to get as many copies of my book out into the hands of people as possible, which I was doing for years. That grew my coaching and my speaking. So I sent out 3,000 copies of the book, The Second in Command, for free. I even paid for shipping to a bunch of COOs. And for the first 18 months, it was crickets. Like no one was joining. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. That was 30 grand that I paid to get all the books out, about $10 each. And we weren't really getting members. And then all of a sudden we got 4.
Which paid for it all?
Close, because it was $6,000 per member. So I'd made 24 grand. Lifetime value is probably more like 15,000. So it was paying for itself in lifetime value.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I don't know, maybe it's just more social media marketing, keep doing what we're doing. And then I asked my assistant, she's been with me for 9 years, to run some numbers on it. And she ran the numbers, and it had gone from 4 people joining to 26 people joining in 6 months. So all of a sudden it was like, wait, 26 people joining at $6,000 each is $144,000, I think was the rough number it came in at. It was 5,900 times 26. And my cost of the books was 30. So I netted $115,000 on a $30,000 spend. That's a 400 return on ad spend in gross margin alone, not even the lifetime value. I'm like, oh shit, this is the marketing. So now we're like, how many copies of that book can I get out there?
Wait, I think that was terrible math. What did you just say?
So
no, got it. 30 grand in, 120 out.
Yeah. So we were getting a 400% return on ad spend. And that was gross margin return, not revenue.
When you said 400, it broke my brain for a second. And I was like, I have to make sure this math adds up. 400.
No, it adds up.
Yeah, so, that's great.
And by the way, that's the number that I'm really I've been pushing our members to understand. A lot of marketing agencies will say, okay, if you spend 10 grand and you get $20,000 in sales, you had a 200% return on ad spend. Maybe, but if you have a 70% cost of goods sold, you just went into the toilet.
Yeah, totally.
Right? So measure your gross margin return on ad spend and make sure that's positive. But anyway, yeah, it's working.
Or just don't listen to marketing agencies because they're full of shit most of the time.
So there was a stat.
Most of the time. Listen, I talk shit, but listen, marketing agencies are one of the easiest, lowest barrier to entry business models.
Yep.
And they can be good business models, but generally speaking, my experience has always been that really good marketers only have marketing agencies if they're going to take a percentage of the lift.
Correct. Giddy Up Marketing, Topher Grant, great example. Huge, unbelievable example. He takes a percentage of revenue, doesn't charge you, and he buys the traffic. He pays for the ads.
Yeah, you get that offer, and they're
he's that
experienced. Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So there was a survey that went out around 15 years ago, and it was the top advertising and marketing agencies in the U.S. It was like the big ones, right? Like the McCann Erickson's, the Palmer Jarvis, whatever. And they asked the biggest ad agencies, how much money or what percent of your revenue do you spend on marketing? It was 1 to 2%.
Whoa.
And they're telling us 8 to 10. And none of them do it.
Yeah.
It's like the dentist who goes, you have to come 3 times a year. How often do you go to the dentist? Once.
Yeah.
Why the fuck are we going 3 times a year? Right? We bought their whole story.
Yep.
Anyway.
And let me end on this. You have now done hundreds of podcasts with some wildly impressive guests.
On my podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've also been on hundreds of others.
Yeah, we've had 580 guests now on the Second in Command.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Of the ones that you've been on or your own, what have you never said on any of them? What's off limits, or what have you been afraid to say?
I don't know. I've pretty much gone places. Like I've talked about my use of some drugs. My dad said it's nice that you're vulnerable, but the immigration might not like the truth. I've talked about
Canadian immigration.
Talked about failure with marriages. Talked about. I think I've been pretty there.
You did a bunch of drugs last week. Why'd you do that?
I did ayahuasca. I'm doing a lot of growth this year. I'm doing Landmark Forum. I'm going to a Tony Robbins. I just did a 7-day.
Damn.
Yeah, I've done 2 7-day Tantra courses. I'm going on a course on BDSM. I'm going to Austria to do a dominatrix training course. I did ayahuasca to do some self-growth. I've done ketamine infusions with a doctor. This is kind of my year of growth, just because.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, listen up, 25-year-olds, 35-year-olds, 45-year-olds. Cameron Herold,
55-year-olds.
55-year-olds. Cameron Herold's been playing this game for 40 years, and he is dedicating this year to personal growth. I know you've already done the Tony stuff before.
No, I never have.
Oh, you haven't?
No, that's why I want to go. I've never seen him.
Crazy.
I want to see him before he dies.
Well, then never mind. I reject everything I just said. No, what I was going to say is that you've been on your personal growth journey for your whole life.
Yeah.
In different ways. And certainly in the last several years.
Dude, I've spent over $1 million, and I had a list on all the masterminds I've been a member of over 30 years.
I saw you post that.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, I love it. And you're doing it now. So I commend you for that. And I think that the question for me is, so this is, again, an all or nothing thing. You were like, this year I'm doing all this shit. Or you figure out how to integrate that into your life on an ongoing basis.
Yeah.
And I think that both are really good approaches to it. Mine is that I need to kickstart things with a grand gesture to create the habit. I don't need to, but it's my preferred method to do that.
Mine is a bucket list that I share with everybody. Because as soon as I write it down and I start sharing it, they start helping me make it come true. Like Africa Burn last year. I went to Burning Man in Africa. It's awesome.
That's crazy.
Right?
Oh God, that's a whole other story. All right, Cameron, let's hit the sauna, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Love you, buddy.
Appreciate it.